Greetings, everyone. Good night to each and every one of you. Those of you home, abroad, in the diaspora, we greet you from Belize. We greet you from Dangriga. In Garifuna, we say Mabuga. Greetings, welcome. Today, I am joined by the infamous, this is my sister, this is my friend. I appreciate her so much. Anytime I bring you on, Ifa, I have to say how I appreciate you so much. And I value what you do in the community. I value what you do within the Garifuna community. I value what you do nationally as well. You're an educator. You're an activist. You are a cultural ambassador. They say always give a man or a woman flowers before he or she dies. And you're a great contributor in many aspects to this country. So I want to salute you. I want to welcome you once again. This is Dangriga Unmuted, where we unmute the truth and we demand change. This evening, we're going to be talking about two main topics for the most part. Actually, the umbrella topic would be active citizenship. All right. We're going to expound on that. There's a need for us to become active rather than passive, rather than complacent. I'm flowing as we go because tonight I expect that that's how the pace will go, right? Without further ado, Ifa, greet the audience, bless them with your wisdom.
Mabuga, Mabuga. I greet everybody with, this is a sobering conversation to have. I want to say happy greetings. It's a new year on the Gregorian calendar. And the last time I was here was some months ago.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to be in a space where constructive, thought-provoking, and hopefully motivational conversation can happen about what we are facing as a people, as a nation, and what we can do to effect change, because we actually can. I like to be involved in those types of discussions. So that's why it's always a pleasure. Once I'm invited to a space like this one, I don't decline the invitation, because I think it's very important for the people to hear these types of conversations. Oftentimes I would have conversations in private, like we had recently, and wish that the public could hear the conversation, just so that the public can feel a sense of belonging, or that they could be inspired in some way. Maybe they can find commonality because they might be thinking about these things as well. They might be concerned likewise, or maybe they were not thinking about it, but now we give them something to think about. And the more of us that have these types of conversations, the real, down to earth, and just candid, not powdering anything, not trying to sugarcoat anything, but keeping it real. The more of us that have those types of conversations, then I think the more motivated we will have our citizens be to actually do something about it. A lot of people, I think, right now don't feel that they can do anything about what's happening. So they just hold their corner, keep quiet where they are, try not to ruffle any feathers, and just basically try to survive in all this mess.
Yeah.
And when you have people being or feeling that way, that they're just surviving, they need to survive, then it's hard for people to know that they have agency and that they can actually do something about whatever might be ailing them, right? And I think that's why we have to be talking about these things more, but not just for the sake of talking, but for us to figure out, well, what can we actually do, and what should we be doing to change our circumstances as a people. So It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Ifa. Thank you. We're going to, in a bit, introduce some bullet points as to what we will be talking about when it comes to active citizenship. There are so many things happening at the moment nationally, so much noise. We have SpeedNet, BTL acquisition of SpeedNet and these other cable companies. I like how the different activists, Matura, all these people coming out, the opposition, the United Democratic Party, taking a stance. This is just an overview of what we will be talking about. But let's take this thing to the ABC of active citizenship. I always ask every guest, when you take a bird's eye view of Dangriga, okay, this is Dangriga Unmuted. Though we talk about national issues, this is primarily for Dangriga. And I want to also say that when I say Dangriga, we include Sarawi and Hope Creek. We don't want to get too political. When you take a bird's eye view, you look at society, you look at leadership, you look at, we have an area rep, we have a mayor, we have the town council, we have councillors, we have different individuals doing their own thing. We have development. When you take a look at a bird's eye view, what do you see in terms of active or inactive citizenship?
I see a lot of inactive citizenship, quite likely because maybe some people are just exhausted. People are tired. They've been at this for some time, and they just maybe feel like their voices in the wilderness, right? And I'm thinking about people in our age range and older than us who might be feeling that exhaustion, that just futile. Why bother? Why bother try say anything or do anything? Maybe with people lost, you can't really get them to be motivated to do anything because they're too politically aligned and they feel indebted to these politicians, and so they're not going to do anything, even if they're seeing that, for example, our hospital is not properly equipped, doesn't have the medications that we need, we don't necessarily get the best quality service at the hospital, or only some of us could say I was treated well there, while others would say different. Others have lost loved ones at the same hospital that's available to all of us. So why is there a disparity in the treatment, in how one patient is treated versus another patient? Why is there a disparity in who survives once they make it to the Southern Regional Hospital and who doesn't? And if you're not financially viable, you don't have the resources to say, go to a private institution for medical care, then you're essentially doomed. Why is that the case? Why should that be the case? So from the bird's eye view, I'm wondering, are the people sedated? Are the people in the community so oblivious or numbed by, or overwhelmed by all that's happening, that they just feel powerless to do anything about it? Is that the situation? Because there's a lot for us to be standing up for and wanting to do something about. A bird's eye view of Dangriga will reveal that many streets are in very horrific conditions, that there is no proper drainage of those streets, even for the few that are paved. So their integrity as roads it's compromised because there is no drainage, no proper drainage. And we keep hearing, election in, election out, we will tackle drainage. and then that doesn't happen. And we don't need to be engineer experts to know that drains are extremely important to preserve roads. And if we've invested thousands and millions in road work, then you want to make sure that those last as long as possible. And if they don't have proper drainage, then in no time you have to be fixing those roads. So if you look at Dangriga from above, you will see a few streets paved. You will see it happen over and over that portions of streets get paved while other portions deteriorate and are left in that state of deterioration for extended periods of time. Then you see miles of a brand new concrete road that's going to the south of the town. So not many residents are able to benefit from that investment of our tax dollars. So are our tax dollars really working for us or for a few? That question has to be asked. As you asked me about a bird's eye view of the community, and I'm thinking like I am in the air looking down at Dangriga.
Right.
And I'm describing to you what I see, that our roads are condemned. And even those that are paved, the few of them, they are not in the best condition, or they're under threat of being broken up in no time, being destroyed in no time, because there is no drainage or there is no sidewalk for pedestrians. I've had to use ecumenical drive repeatedly because that's the route to where I work, and there is no sidewalk. So essentially, when that was being built, there was no thought about the students and the citizens that would have to use that road to get to home or work or school. So what's the vision really that the people who we elect into leadership, what is the vision that they really have for our community? And after they say these beautiful words to us, who is holding them accountable? Is it just me and you? And maybe you would hear on DIFA, right? Is it just these 3 people or 4 people talking? What then after that, right? So do then our political leaders, these are people we elect and whose salaries we pay because of the taxes that they are responsible for and that we pay. Who is holding them accountable, right? Where are the regular town hall meetings, for example? There've been a few, but I don't know that there are regular town hall meetings that allow us to go and talk about what our concerns are. Is there a schedule that's put out, that's published, that says every month on the last Thursday, we're going to have a town hall meeting, and the public, you're invited to come to that town hall meeting so we can report to you what we're doing in the town, and then you can give us feedback about your concerns. I don't know that that is happening. Yes, we might say, well, the town council has a Facebook page. How engaged are we with that page? We have an area representative that comes on Thursdays, I believe, to consult. Is the area representative accessible to the people? Or is it only the people who are members of the party that get access to him? Or is he readily available? What's the schedule? That type of transparency. I bring that up because people can go and visit the mayor, and they can go and visit the area representative because their offices are readily available.
Right.
Sometimes you may go and they might not be in office, but there must be something in place there for notice or notifying you when you can make an appointment, when you need to come back, and so on. The thing is, what I'm questioning, because we're talking about active citizenship, is the public. We the people. Do we make it our business? And I'm not talking about those who just are dependent on handouts, because that's the culture that we've been now accustomed to.
Yeah,
right?
It's become the norm.
That we go to the political leaders and we expect them to pay our light bill or pay a school fee or pay something that's really our responsibility. We have a lot of our people feeling comfortable with that. The problem with that mentality, with that behavior, and that level of dependence is that's what causes us to lose our agency. That's why we can't go and demand better and greater from our political leaders, because we settle for very little. We've become dependent on very little. Crumbs, really. Chum change. And why should a person you elect into political office be responsible for your bills? Your bills are your responsibility. We should be holding them accountable for greater things, like ensuring the streets are in the best condition, ensuring that the town is clean and beautiful, ensuring that they are managing our taxes properly. And if people are not paying their taxes, ensuring that those people are penalized for not paying their taxes, keeping properties clean, making sure the town is well lit.
Yes.
Right? Providing resources to our community to ensure that we get the benefit of the tourism dollar as well, not just other places outside of Dangriga. But if we are settling for light bill and minor things, $50 here and $100 there, and just our own selfish little minor needs that we should really be meeting ourselves, then we don't hold them accountable and responsible for the bigger things that are important for all of us. And that is one of the areas of weakness that we have as a society. If we're self-sufficient, then we can hold our leaders accountable. Then they can't just come and say, I'm going to have a party and you can get beers.
Most of it, I would say, and I believe you will agree, is out of ignorance, the lack of knowledge. I liken it to a house in disarray, right? We have a home. You have rules. Growing up, even as a boy, going to high school, there was a set time to go home, right? We had chores. There was a set time when we had to get those chores done. We depended on our parents to feed us, to clothe us, and our parents set rules. So I liken it to that of a household. The way I see this household, based on what you're sharing, there's, like you said, no accountability. So the children go in and out, right? No social service in place. That's the type of, this is an analogy. That's what we are dealing with. We have individuals who are under so much pressure for so many reasons: financial, relationship, broken homes, abuse. And so they look to enhancers, they look to drugs, they look to liquor. And then that causes the degradation of our society, of our culture. We're talking about active citizenship, and what does that mean? And tonight, I want to say, those of you signed on, we get a lot of people who are people like me and yourself who want to know what's happening. People who are politically aligned. Maybe you have to keep an eye out for those that you support. I want to talk to you. however you're watching this, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube. Start inviting your children to participate in these dialogue, in these conversations. Start bring them, make it a family event. If what we are sharing, if you agree with what we're sharing, if it's beneficial to you, if it's the truth, if you believe it's going to help us move forward, you have children, start grooming them. We live in an age where it is when we reach a certain age that then we start become more responsible, right? We start realize that me, they pay for all of this. That me, they got my era representative, they live the way how he live. That me, they have my mayor, they live how he live. It is up to me, all of us collectively, we are responsible. It is us that's responsible for how well our streets are paved. Now, we might have one or two overseers, but if we are not active citizens, if we become or remain passive, none of these things will be better. We are always settled for crumbs. We will always be ignorant of our inheritance. We will always be ignorant of the possibilities. Some of us are stuck. We have family members when you know what it's like to pass high school in a today day and age. So we're talking about active citizenship. In just maybe in the next 15 minutes or so, I want to share a video clip of a lady that we know here in Dangriga as Lady G. Lady G is facing some issues with her property. It's prime property. It's one of the keys not too far from here, from Dangriga. And she has plans and she insists to share it with the public. So that is also part of active citizenship. Ifa, I'll pass it back to you and then we'll take a quick break in the next 5 minutes.
It's good that you brought up that situation. People taking legal action. It's not frequent enough in our community. For many, it's because people can't afford to get an attorney, hire an attorney. So they don't even think about it. Things happen, they face injustices. It might be in the workplace, it might be in their neighborhood, it might be having to do with property. That has happened to a lot of people. It might have to do with criminal activity or being accused wrongfully, treatment by people in authority. But people don't take action because they don't maybe think that they can take action. One of the things I know about myself and has been my experience is I really strongly oppose any form of injustice. I can't stand to see injustice, whether it's happening to me or happening to somebody else. I have zero tolerance for injustice, and always I want something to be done about it. Now I'm not here to be anybody's savior per se. I may not have the means to save people per se, but sharing information I think is very important. It's an empowering thing to have information, more so using that information to your benefit. Now, this thing of active citizenship, one of the reasons it can be a challenge is when you don't have support. Not many people have the wherewithal to stand up for something that is a just cause by themselves. We traditionally, culturally, as Garinago, were a united people. We operated with consideration always for the other, right? This whole thing of Ogun Amurono is about I for you and you for me. It wasn't a cliche thing. It was how we live. It was integral to our existence as a people and how we operated. We have lost that significantly along the way. Our miseducation has done that to us. Our attraction to capitalism has done that to us. Our colonization has done that to us. Our neo-colonization has done that to us. We are attracted to all that's glittering, especially in the north, and not recognizing the gold mine that we are sitting on. So others see it and they are coming and they are mining it right in front of our faces. Literally and figuratively, I'm thinking about the river and the sun. And we do nothing. And many, unfortunately, speak negatively about this community, about our country and our tongue specifically. But other people are coming here and making it. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see other people come into our community and thrive and prosper. And they continue to prosper. You can see it. You can see it in how their businesses literally grow in front of us. And we contribute to the growth of those businesses because we go and we patronize those businesses. We support those businesses. We go and we buy products and on the regular. So we keep these businesses open and we help these businesses to grow, but not for ourselves. We don't do the same thing for businesses that are owned by our own people, right? Maybe the fishermen, yes. And still they will tell you that they make their money more from the larger sales, from companies, resorts, and so on, where they can sell their products in bulk. And maybe here and there, the hair braiders and the seamstresses and tailors might be able to say, well, I do earn some income from my people. They come and support my business. But I'm saying this about us not being how we used to be, to say that other business that we used to thrive in, like grocery stores and selling farm products and so on, we don't have that anymore. We are not in that as much anymore because of us not supporting each other, not supporting our own. And it's not impossible for us to get back to that. But it's a mind shift. I've talked about this before on the show. A mind shift has to happen.
You did. I remember last National NGC National Convention, Roy Kai mentioned something that stuck with me, and I reiterated it at that very same event. He said something along the lines of, we here in Dangriga, we are economically stifled. And I want to ask you, Ifa, as an individual, also as an insider of NGC, this is me asking as a regular citizen, asking you as a regular citizen as well. In an interview with the late Canon Jerris Valentine, he said to me, he said, Uruwei, I shared this story before. He said, NGC is good enough for what NGC is doing to help maintain the culture, the dance, the food. But economically, we might need, the Garifuna people might need a new organization or a new entity, so to speak, in order for them or us to thrive. What's your take on that?
I agree with that partially. I do believe that the National Garifuna Council can facilitate that process. It's a part of the objectives of the organization. But no, that kind of effort is not limited to the National Garifuna Council. And yes, there ought to be another entity that focuses specifically on our economic development. I can speak to, for example, projects that the organization has had, National Garifuna Council. There was a project that had to do with agro-processing, right? So there were members from different Garifuna communities. They were taken to Central Farm to learn how to process cassava, to make cassava flour, right? And then make byproducts of cassava flour. right? But that was a project, and this is the thing with projects. So a project is for a time, and then many times some of these projects, the sustainability of the project is where the challenge arises. Because yes, the people get the training, but then what do they do with that information once the training is over? In another project, a cassava demonstration center was established, so it's right there at the Golise monument site. And I know I've participated in sessions to learn to make cassava bread right there. I've witnessed that. We planted cassava there, harvested cassava. This was during the pandemic that happened. I was a part of that exercise and learned how to bake cassava, the whole process right there. But maintaining
That's near the monument.
right there,
Right.
it's a white building, it's right there. And it was equipped for processing cassava. That those acres of land were planted out with cassava. I was a part of that. I know I helped to plant the cassava myself. I was there. And when it came time for harvesting, then there were only a few people that were involved in the harvesting. It wasn't that this was kept from the community. It was available to the community. But this is the thing too that tends to happen, Uruwei, and it again has to do with mindset. Because people will say, "Well, I didn't know, and they didn't share the information." But yes, the information was shared, right? Because the council has a Facebook page, so things are shared on the Facebook page, and people share things word of mouth. But it's who is interested, and then sometimes people expect that if you're going to have something there, then you have to come for them from where they live to take them to that location. Even though this is a facility that's available for their benefit, they want you to facilitate the whole process. So you have to pick them up from their house to take them to learn something that's going to be beneficial to them, right? So again, I'm talking about the mind shift that needs to happen, because in the past we were very communal in our thinking, collective in our thinking. So it wouldn't have been that I would have sat home expecting you to take me to something that would be beneficial to me. We would have collaborated, and we would go and do it together and round up other people to do that too.
It is 2026. We have the PUP, we have the UDP. We have a mayor, we have an area representative. We have NGC, we have DAIFA. We're talking about active citizenship. What are some bullet points that you think we could improve in as active citizens, but not only active citizens, but the different activists here in Dangriga, the area representative, the mayor? What are some bullet points that we could become more active in as citizens and as leaders?
Well, we could start in our neighborhoods, because unless the area representative or the mayor if they take the time to walk every street or drive every street, they will have an idea what the conditions are in those neighborhoods. But that's the reason why you have councillors in the case of the town council, and the area rep has a committee or staff that support his work to report back and say this is what's going on in the community. As citizens, though, the role we have to play is bringing those matters to the attention of the mayor and the area representative. Anything, if we find that in our neighborhood, because of the poor drainage, there is a situation of flooding, then we need to bring that to the attention of the people that can do something about it. And just talking about things on Facebook or among friends is not sufficient. You have to write letters, take the visit, take the walk or the drive or the ride to the town council, to the area representative, and be organized and deliberate about it, right? This is what is happening in my neighborhood. I'm concerned about this. The garbage is not collected on the days that it's supposed to be collected. I've observed that that has been the case for the past 2 weeks. This needs to be addressed. It's this street, and this is what I've seen, and things like that. And maybe you don't want to be the only one making the complaint or bringing the concern. So this week it could be you. The next week it could be your neighbor. The week after that, the other neighbor and the other neighbor, until the problem gets solved. Because there is something that we can do ourselves in our neighborhood, and there is also more that we can do when it comes to informing, engaging, and holding accountable the people in elected office. But if we just sit home and say nothing, or complain among ourselves, or just write stuff on Facebook, that does not bring solution.
That's not going to cut it. That's definitely not going to cut it.
So I want people to know that they have power, Uruwei. There's something they could do. If I get home, I put out my garbage in the morning, and I get home and the garbage hasn't been picked up, I call the town council, because I don't expect the mayor to be riding around the town every day, all day. So he might not know that the garbage wasn't collected on Cedar Street or Mahogany Street or whatever street. But I will call and let him know, or let the people, whoever in charge, know. And if I don't call 3 times, then I could write a letter or reach the office and say, well, listen, I have called on this matter X amount of times and I'm tired of it. It needs to be addressed. The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah.
That's what active citizenship is all about.
Absolutely.
And it don't mean you're being disrespectful, because you don't have to be disrespectful.
You said something that I've heard and used in the past, but I want to ask you to repeat it because it's very important. The squeaky wheel gets oiled, right? Expound on that a little bit. When you talk about active citizenship, expound on that in the context of active citizenship.
Uruwei, if you watch a problem unfolding on the regular, on your street, in your neighborhood, in your community, at your workplace, at your school, and you say nothing, you're a part of the problem. When you say nothing, make attempts to do nothing, especially something constructive, because it's easy for us to identify problems, and then we don't challenge ourselves to identify solutions. But we can definitely solve our problems, right? I have spoken a lot about our civic pride, or the lack thereof, in our beautiful community. The streets don't have to be littered with garbage, but it's that way because of how we allow ourselves to be filthy. I'm speaking in general because I'm not filthy and I don't throw garbage on the street, right? But there are people that they don't think twice, and in their mind, they are creating employment. And I always bring this up and explain that you are not creating employment by throwing garbage on the street, and that's a foolish way to think. It's really, that's loaded with ignorance. First of all, the town council's resources come from the taxes that are paid for property tax, and then people pay liquor license, trade license, and things like that. Those are the ways that the town council generates income, in addition to whatever it receives from government to run its affairs. So the regular citizen walking the streets, throwing garbage on the street and saying they're creating a job, you only create a job if you are paying. Because if you create a job, that means you can pay for the person that will do that job. But again, the mindset, the thinking, why would you think that throwing garbage on the street is creating a job for somebody? Yes, somebody ends up having to do it. Women mostly, and men, are employed on the streets every day cleaning up. But imagine if they were using their skills to beautify Alejo Beni Park, beautify our beaches, because Dangriga has a beautiful stretch of beach, with the exception of when we're dealing with erosion. But if all those people that have to pick up your garbage off the street, garbage that doesn't have to be there, because you don't have to throw garbage on the street. This is human beings doing this. Because even animals wouldn't have been able to do it if the garbage were disposed of properly, right? They wouldn't be tearing up garbage all over the place if you dispose of your garbage properly. But all of them that are cleaning the streets have to be cleaning the streets because you're throwing your garbage on the street. So then they don't have time to clean the beach. They don't have time to maintain a garden at Drums of Our Fathers Monument or at TV Ramos Bus or at any of the parks. They don't have time to beautify those community spaces because they have to be spending their energy every day cleaning up after grown people.
Yeah.
This is a setback,
Yeah.
right? So as an active citizen, I don't throw garbage on the ground. So in front of my yard, if people behaved civilized and sensible, whether they're in a vehicle, on a bicycle, or walking the street, and did not throw their garbage, there would be none in front of my house.
Friends, brothers, and sisters, this is Dangriga Unmuted. We unmute the truth. We demand change. With me is my sister, my warrior sister, Ifasina Efunyemi. You all know her as Ifa. We're talking about active citizenship. What does that mean to us? Do we just go on Facebook and rant? Do we just sit in our homes and talk about the issues we're facing? We will go on a quick commercial break. When we come back, I will share a video, a short impromptu interview that I did with Lady G. She has a grave concern and she wants it to be addressed. So stay connected, invite your family, tell them to join Ifa and King Cyril Uruwei on Obafo TV. Friends, we will be right back. Friends, family, welcome back. We are live on Dangriga Unmuted Obafu TV. This is King Cyril Uruwei with my dearest sister, Ifasina Efunyemi. We're talking about active citizenship, particularly in Dangriga, nationwide, of course, but we're mainly addressing issues, local issues here in Dangriga. As promised, I visited one of our elders here in Dangriga. She goes by the name Lady G. Everybody know Lady G from Eden Rose. And Lady G is struggling with a land issue. And I want to make something very clear here. I didn't go searching for Lady G to ruffle feathers. Lady G knows me, like many people who would call on me and say, hey, this is what's happening. I want to share this incident or, whatever disadvantage might be taking place. So she's going through a land issue with the famous Basilo Zabane. Bas, nothing against you, my brother. We just here to support anybody who would seek justice, who might be taking, who others might be taking advantage of. And as a human rights defender, I don't see why I should refuse assisting Lady G if she has a right within she have shown documents, she has evidence that she has right. So let's listen to what Lady G has to say, and then Aoife and I will comment on it as well. And for the record, this again is a part of active citizenship. This is Lady G taking a stand. Brief explanation of that article.
This article, after I went to pay my property tax, the key was, barbecue key was for my father. One there.
Basilo Zabane?
No, who was the Minister of Lands at that time? He's from PG. Andrews. He leased it to my dad for 5 years. But before the 5 years was up, my father wanted to buy the key. So he wrote Mr. Andrews a letter. The reply was that they're not selling the key anymore, but he will lease it to him for 50 years. Okay? So as I said, after my father passed away, I just, I took it over and I went to pay the tax the 3rd of July 2003. And roughly 2 weeks after that, I was told to go to Belmopan by a friend because they were giving the key to Basilio Zabane. When I went to Belmopan, to the lands department, I met Mr. Gonzalez. I guess he was the PS at that time. And I told Mr. Gonzalez what my mission was about. And he went and he got the form, he showed it to me, and I read it, and I told Mr. Gonzalez, the minister signed on a Sunday, and he told me, he said, Miss Guerrero, these people do anything that they want. So when I got back home, I went to the press down in Dangriga, because we had a press in Dangriga. So now I have made up my mind that I'm going to take Basilio to court. I'm going to take him to court. Yeah.
Do I have permission to make it? So what's the feedback? What's the final feedback you've gotten so far?
Well, all I want, as my grandmother used to say, baby, talk the truth and shame the devil. So that's what I'm about to do. Talk the truth and shame the devil.
So you believe that land is yours? That was Lady G. If you live in Dangriga, you'll be familiar with Lady G. Ifa, what have you to say?
We had started talking about this previously, that many individuals in our community, and not just in Dangriga, but other Garifuna communities, other Belizean communities as a whole, face this situation that is described in this particular case, where they are disenfranchised, basically. People, I don't know the specifics of Miss Guerrero's case, and each person has their own experience. But in general, the issue of land,
right,
and the loss of land, tremendous loss of land at that, from our people, it's obscene. And this is not talking about those persons that, for their own maybe legitimate or selfish reason, sold off their family properties. We're not talking about those type of people. We're talking about people who are Belizeans, honestly have maybe inherited or worked toward ownership of lands, keys for their current and yet to come generation, only to have other individuals, sometimes of our own community, sometimes of our own families, or others who, because they know better, because they have more information and greater interest personally, they find how to own properties, swindle properties, strong arm properties, coerce people, or outright steal people's properties. So some persons might all the while think that they had this land, it belonged to their family, their grandparents were on that land, and then they grew up on that land. And so they believe that the land is something that they would inherit or be able to pass on to the next generation. And then they find out, no, that is not the case. It happens a lot. And there are many situations where it is actual injustice. It is actual unfairness and literal disenfranchisement of people. But people feel powerless to do anything about it. So this is kind of unique in the sense that Miss Guerrero is empowered enough to know that the court system exists and she could utilize it to address her matter. Not enough of us do that. Most people just, they give in.
It's true. And, one of the biggest problem here in our country as well is that if you have money, or if you have a whole lot more money than I do, you could get away with a whole lot more, right? Even if it's criminal, even if it's illegal. So we have Lady G who's fighting for her key, for her land. This, in some way, was given to, I don't know all the details, but according to Lady G, was somehow given to Basilio. Now it is known that Basilio Zabani maybe has a little bit more money than a lot more people here in Dangriga. So he might be able to get away with these type of things. I went down Lakeland, in the Lakeland area, just about a week ago. And an individual was sharing with me, there is this land, there's this property. Again, this is within the topic active citizenship, right? We want to make it clear we're addressing issues that are affecting us on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we just not hear about it, but people are being affected every day. People are being taken advantage of every day. So there's this land right behind Russell Chiste. You've probably heard about this story. I have received word that where the PUP building is at right now, that was / or might be owned by Basilio Zabane. This is alleged, right? Let me say. Either I believe it's the POP government that probably gave Basilio Zabane the land behind Russell Chiste in exchange for that land on the main that the PUP is now using.
Where the headquarters
Where the headquarters is.
Okay.
And it is also known that Basilio got that land for pennies. Now, we're talking again about active citizenship. What do we do when we hear these type of things? Do we just say, "Nah, just so you go"?
Well, for most people, that would be the statement.
That just so you go.
That just so you go, because people don't think, well, what could you do about that, right? Did we have a plan for those properties? Because the kind of land tenure system we have in place, essentially, if you have the resources, if you have the money, you can buy property.
Yeah.
You can buy it from people who already own property, or you can approach the state for state property, or what is called crown lands.
Mhm.
That exists, right? So the man might say, well, it's land that's available, so I'm buying it, and I'm the one that can afford to buy it. That's why I'm the one that it was sold to, for argument's sake, right? I would say when people hear things like what you've described, to me, the first thing to do is investigate. Is to find out what the truth is. Where does the truth lie? What exactly are the facts?
Right, right. It is known, though, I have to add, that the land right behind Russell Chiste should be for the public. That's where Public Works was. I don't know if you grew up here at Dangriga.
I didn't grow up in Dangriga, but I came here.
That's where Public Works was, right? So it should be for the town. There was also a plan for that area, I understand. There was a plan in motion to probably build a female basketball court or something for young ladies to engage in sports, right? Something for themselves. So you're right. There's a lot more investigation to be done, or investigating to be done, because we're talking about active citizenship. We can't just remain complacent. I'm putting the word out. This is something we need to look into. We need some answers. We need for this some investigation. I am consciously, mindfully using alleged right now. But back to Lady G, not to press much on that situation, on that case, but again, what do we do as a community? What do we do as a people when we see these type of things happen all the time? We just let it be.
Well, I want to say that we have done that already, that you are describing. Just let things be. That my question to our people is, how is that working out for us? Just letting things be. Because I don't see it getting better, right? And the more any of us stand aside and watch other people suffer injustice and we do nothing about it, the more vulnerable we make ourselves for the very same thing to happen to us. See, that's how bad it has gotten, because we have deviated so far from who we are. from our ideology, right? Because if we were still communal and collective in our consciousness and in our actions, then the amount of cases like Lady G's would not be so prevalent, because there would be community support, collective action to prevent such from happening to any individual. So a lot of people are going through their cases, their situations in isolation, Uruwei. They might be talking to their family members about facing particular challenges, but it's not a collective effort, right? And if you don't have the backing of your family and then the backing of your community, you stand alone. And many times when we stand alone, we don't win, especially if we're standing alone against resource capital, wealth. Yeah.
1 second. This information public.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lady G. A brief explanation of that article.
This article, after I went to pay my property tax, the key was barbecue was for my father. One there.
Basilo Zabane?
No, who was the Minister of Lands at that time? He's from PG. Andrews. He leased it to my dad for 5 years. But before the 5 years was up, my father wanted to buy the key. So he wrote Mr. Andrews a letter. The reply was that they're not selling the key anymore, but he will lease it to him for 50 years. Okay? So as I said, after my father passed away, I just, I took it over and I went to pay the tax the 3rd of July 2003. And roughly 2 weeks after that, I was told to go to Belmopan by a friend because they were giving the key to Basilio Zabane. When I went to Belmopan, to the lands department.
So folks, we're back again. Ifa, we were commenting on the lack of activism.
I was saying that because we have moved so far away, we've deviated so far from who we were as a people, we continue to face issues of injustice and disenfranchisement because we're not together. So many are fighting their battles in isolation, and some people don't feel that they can do anything about their circumstances. I offer, by way of solution, simple steps that we can start to take to become active citizens and to empower ourselves. Let's think about our own personal circumstances. There are many who are parents. They have children going to school. How active are they in their children's education? Are they visiting the classroom where their children are for the bulk of the day? Do they familiarize themselves with the teachers that teach their children? Do they stop in to meet the principal, the administrator of the schools? Do they pay attention to what's happening on the school ground, what the state of the buildings are and the school compound where their children go to school? Are they involved in the Parent Teachers Association? Does the school even have one? Because active citizenship does not mean that you have to become the kind of advocate that I am, very public, very open, national and internationally. You could just do it in your own space. You be an advocate there. You advocate for yourself. You advocate for your family, for your children. And just by being involved in their education, their well-being, making sure that they are safe at home and making sure that they are safe when they are on the street and making sure that they are safe when they are at school, that you're not passing on your responsibility to somebody else. Oh, that the police will do that, that the teacher will do that, that the principal will do that. No. Knowing and taking full responsibility for your role in your child's well-being, upbringing, education is a way of being an active citizen. So it starts with self, it starts with you. It doesn't have to be external. You don't have to go far. Imagine a group of parents, the parents of 10 children in a neighborhood, being actively involved in ensuring that their children are getting the best quality education, volunteering at the school and supporting the teachers. Because if you are there, then you can offer support, but you can also hold them accountable, right? It's not just about criticizing from the outside, but being fully engaged so you can say, you know, miss, I think you could do it this way, and this is how I can support you in doing it this way, so that no child is left behind. But not just standing on the sidelines and saying you should do this and you should do that, but putting yourself there, making yourself a part of the process. You do that, you help to be a part of the solution. Once you are not doing that, you are part of the problem. So it's not difficult. That's what I want to emphasize. Being an active citizen is not difficult, because it doesn't mean that you have to be on Dangriga Unmuted. You don't have to have a talk show. You don't have to be on a soapbox at the corner of the street with a PA system. Yeah. Be active in your own home. Ensure that everybody in your home, including you, are safe, are living the best possible quality life that is possible for you in your home. And if you are not satisfied with what is the situation in your home, then seek to find a wholesome, positive means of changing your circumstance and get the children involved in that. Not exploiting them, but making them understand that the selling of the bread or whatever it is that we do, if it is that we're collecting bottles or we are making some kind of product to sell, this is our income generating activity. This is your business. If you look at the Asians, especially the Chinese, that dominate our grocery stores now, when they have young ones, from the child is 2 or 3, they're at the cash register, they're in the store. Why? Because their parents are already socializing them to be a part of the business. Uruwei. This is how we used to be. We used to take children, used to be taken to farm with their grandparents or their parents. They used to be learning to sew or learning to do woodwork or learning something other than what they learned in the classroom. They were also learning in the community so that they could be productive citizens. And that is a major downfall that we see right now, because a lot of the parents today have not actually continued what they experienced growing up, because maybe they didn't like how they were growing up or did not see the merit in some of the values or principles that were being taught to them when they were growing up. So they are raising their children very different. In fact, some of them are not raising their children at all. They're just allowing devices to raise their children. So we see some deterioration in that regard, but it's not too late to fix that.
It is not too late. And it is up to us. See, I go back to how I was raised, right? Our parents, they never talk much to us about politics. And I tell we just know that we are a PUP. And then over there, so that UDP. That's all it is.
I never grew up with that Uruwei.
I did. So Lakeland, a lot of Lakeland people, that PUP, right? We have some UDP as well. But that's how we were raised. And that's what we knew. But that's all it was. We know we used to the NICE for municipal election. We used to the NICE for general election. But we weren't conscious of the importance of a municipal election. We weren't conscious of the importance of general election, how it works. Who are we electing? We don't know that, right? So I'm saying all this to say to all of you out there that when we get to a certain age, we have different elements of politics. Some of us are seasoned to the point that near election time, we know we rule. Some of us are campaign managers. Some of us are general soldiers in a certain areas, whosoever we campaign for. So it is when we grow older, we see these things, right? And we start position with self. I could be a campaign manager. I could be close to that era rep there. And, you know, I could be the administrator, this and that. And I could become a counselor, right? So those of us who take that type of action, each and every one of us, I take the action of, I realize that, yo, we're being robbed. I can't sit back and just watch it. I might have the intellectual sagacity to go on the internet, build a website, do some marketing, do this, do video production and all that. But I have brothers and sisters where you know what it's like to sleep in a nice, comfortable bed at a resort. So we take, we position, we path, we route, but we never bring on with children and say, this is the way to go on. I am a campaign manager. This is what I do. This is why I do it. This is who I support. This is why I'm supporting him or her. Teach with children. They don't know what they're doing. They're watching you operate. And then they become the same like you. Some of them wait patiently or sometimes impatiently for election. Because that's at the time they will make their money. And it goes on and on like a cycle. And then your children raise up like you, depending on the era rep, depending on the mayor. We don't need to live like that. We need to become more active citizens. And the only way that will work, yes, it helps to go on Facebook and comment. I'm talking about commenting. I want to thank each and every one of you signed on tonight. I've been watching the comments. I am trying not to get distracted by reading each and every comment, but I do go and read the comments. So thank each and every one of you who are signed on and who participate and who become active by commenting and sharing. This is the age of technology, social media, so that helps. But also tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Have you heard about the BTL acquisition? Do you know how it's going to affect us? I want to close off with that, Ifa. The country is on the verge of making a big deal. We don't know if this is going through it. I don't watch the news tonight. What's your take? What do you know about it? What would you say to the people of Dangriga about this possible acquisition?
We have so much going on. And as we keep on this point of active citizenship, a part of that is keeping ourselves in the know, keeping ourselves informed, right? Find out what's going on, not just watching the news, because you have to analyze it too. You don't just take what you receive and accept it as you know, the complete story. But be curious to know all the angles of the story. Get the full story. Because again, this thing you talked about, this partisan way that we have been polarized as a people, where, you know, this household are definitely staunch PUP and this household is staunch UDP. What has it really done for us? Lakeland being the PUP hub, what has it done for Lakeland? You have 2 Cement Street in Lakeland. What else? Proper drainage? Are people living well in Lakeland? Everybody is living in very high standard housing. Are the children well taken care of? Is healthcare better? I mean, what has it meant for that particular area to be staunch any party? What has it meant for our community, our town, to be staunch any party? Right? Yes, some members of families might be able to say they are able to benefit from some of the crumbs. But there are particular families in this country that benefit from political affiliation. Absolutely. After that, the rest of us, we're just left on the wayside. And this is all with the exploitation of all of our tax dollars. Because when people become ministers of government or any kind of political office, they are serving everybody. They're not only serving the people of their party. By law, however, in practice, this is what tends to happen, which is wrong. And we are complicit. The people are complicit with this. It means you allow this to happen because of ignorance, yes, because we don't understand what it means, our way of governance. We don't understand that when the person becomes the area representative, the person is no longer just the PUP person anymore. Yes. This person is no longer the PUP standard bearer. This person is not the PUP area representative. This person just happens to be a member of the People's United Party, which is the party that won the majority of seats for election. They are the area representatives, so they represent the entire area. They represent everybody, whether you went to vote or you didn't go to vote. And all of our taxes in that big pool of taxes, the consolidated fund and other taxes paid, they are using on our behalf. It's not for their friends, because this is not the party. Even when they pay your fees and your bills and whatever they give to you, it's not from the party's funds, nor is it from that person's individual funds. It's from our funds. All of us, whether we voted or not, whether we're in a political party or not. And that consciousness is very important, because we will become better citizens, more active citizens, if we understand our role as citizens.
Man, if as you hit the nail on the head. Friends, brothers, sisters, families, it's important for us to understand this. Listen to what my dear sister Ifa is saying. This is not an attack on any particular individual. This is an educational session, an informative session, I would go further to say. Understand that it is you, right now, sitting in front of your TV, your computer, your phone, you, the taxpayer, you are paying for your area representative. You pay his salary. You pay for the mayor. You pay his salary. All the councillors, you pay their salaries. It is we, the people. They superintend, they manage, they're stewards of a certain amount of what we give back. So when they do for you, when you get a scholarship, which is something I want to talk about as well. When you get a scholarship, when you get food for the pantry, when you get a lead donation here and there for your event, Dickie Bradley once mentioned it. He said, these ministers go on these events, sponsored by this, sponsored by They put their names. Nothing wrong with that if they take the money out of their own pocket, their personal bank account, instead of the people's money. The more we remain complacent, the more we remain inactive citizens, the more these people take advantage of us. We give them the power. We empower them. We empower them. Look at what's happening in our country right now with all the corruption that's taking place. I wonder if people see where I see.
I hope they're seeing what you're seeing and that they don't need the glasses to see it, Uruwei. Because to me, this is common sense. When we talk about the phone company, the whole acquisition, right? If you have one company, this is the bigger company. This is the company that our tax dollars, our social security dollars, they're in that invested in this phone company. Then as another company came along as competition. Oh, competition is good. It means we will get better service. It means that we will have less, we might not be paying too expensive a price for this service because you have competition, right? So we get sold on, yeah, it's good for us to have competition. Only for us to turn around and buy out the competition, like it don't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. And we need our company to be at its best. Why does it need to buy this other company? If the other company is struggling, let them struggle. That's a part of capitalism.
Exactly.
They got into the business knowing full well the risks. So why are we now going to use our monies, the people's money, to buy out these private entities? It makes no sense whatsoever. Improve our service and look at the future of the technology as well. What are we doing to ensure that we are going to measure up to what's coming? Rather than buying now, it would be like you have old shoes and I'm going to buy your old shoes for what? Uruwei? Why am I going to buy your old shoes?
Exactly.
When I need to keep up with the new shoes that's coming. It might not even be shoes. Might be something else.
Friends, we're talking about active citizenship. Let's become more active, man. Let our voices be heard. It starts today. Teaching the children. Let us teach our children. Listen, this is what we have inherited from our parents. What will our children inherit? What will be their inheritance? What are we leaving behind for our young babies, for our young girls, our young boys? Really and truly, think for yourself. You, in front of your computer, you watching your big screen TV, you with your phone in your hand. What kind of legacy, what kind of inheritance you want to leave for your children? Most away at a Dangriga. Before we make a purchase, we have to go check with bank account and see how much the in there. That the life we don't want for your children, that the life we don't want to continue to live. Most of them, by the time we get paid, that done. Something have to give. Something have to compromise. Someone have to decide if light bill I get cut out or the water bill or the phone bill. You have to choose one. A lot of you know what red meter mean, what red tag on the meter mean. Most of you here don't know about that. You don't have to live like that. You can have more. Our leaders, we elect them and they do the bare minimum if they do anything. Because trust me, if they do more than the bare minimum, we will be comfortable. But they have figured the political system, the machinery, how to maneuver. They have figured out who to recruit. We don't have no soldiers, while the majority is starved. And that is the reason, brothers and sisters, friends and family, why our town will be downtrodden, while Dangriga will continue to look like a dead zone. We have some of the most richest, natural resources here in Dangriga. Our town is well positioned. We have the Caribbean Sea. We have beach. We have a nice river. They run through the town. River. We could almost call the Canal Havana Bridge, I know a river, but it could work as another tourist destination, so to speak, if we develop it, if we build it, if we develop the infrastructure. This town is indeed beautiful. The skeletal of it, like the chassis of a vehicle, beautiful, almost perfect. But we are sleeping because we are allowing ourselves to become the product. They're selling what we have to offer, and we come with what we have to offer. We are not the developers. We are not the entrepreneurs, the business owners. And while we come close to a close, as we continue talking about active citizenship, we have developments taking place in our town right now, particularly Jetty, and we have the development, the multi-purpose park near Sacred Heart School and Sacred Heart Church. We, the people, we need to understand what's happening out there at these areas and say how it will benefit we. But not only that, we need to take the initiative to not only wait and hear what happen, but let's strategize. Let's see how we could fit in. Let's see how we could get paired. Let's see how we could get cut, the drumming groups, organize ourselves. Let's see how we could get Dangriga looking better, cleaner, lights, like you mentioned, cleaner streets, proper drainage. If the tourists can come today, where we got to show them?
Not enough. There are a few things, but not enough. We have to develop our own tourism product. And where there is underdevelopment, I've said this multiple times, there is opportunity. This is an opportunity for us. And just look around. Other people see the opportunity away. They're showing us that something is coming. It's going to be beneficial. If you are in the position to benefit, because if you are not doing it, then somebody else will come and do it, and they will be the beneficiaries, not us. So we have the opportunity to be the beneficiaries, but we have to stay in the know, and we need to organize ourselves so that we are prepared. If you have that development there in front of Sacred Heart, are you prepared to establish a booth out there to provide Garifuna food or to provide some kind of cultural service? You know, you might have hair braiding, you might have clothing, something to offer that you can earn income from, right? Are we prepared for that? We need to be preparing for that. Where is the Garifuna immersion space where visitors can come and have a Garifuna experience? What are we doing about that? There are opportunities. The other people that come and are making it, all these vegetable stands, the hot dog stands, all of them by other people. Clearly, they looked in the community, they saw the opportunity, and they organized themselves, and they are making their businesses work. And we watch those businesses grow and prosper. But what are we doing? The people that look like us, what are we doing to build our own selves? We need to be sitting and having those types of conversations. What can I set up? What can we set up for us to earn income legitimately?
It is also important to say, Ifa, and I feel moved to say this. I am a Garifuna man. Garifuna out. I've never shied away from being a Garifuna. But I want to also make it clear that while we are pro-Garifuna, while I am pro-Garifuna, we also have to remember Dangriga has developed. Dangriga is developing. We are evolving. We now have our Indian brothers. We have our Creole brothers and sisters. We have our Hispanic mestizo brothers and sisters. They are not doing anything illegal by setting up shop and doing what they need to do. They have that right. They have that right. So this is not a case of backs out down one day, and it is what are you doing to make sure you survive, to make sure that you get your fair share. What are you doing? Because we can't just complain and say, oh, people who don't look like we or we not song like we, they make it. No.
They're making it because they work hard.
They work hard.
We used to be like that.
Exactly.
There's some of us that still do, but there are also some of us that aren't, that expect it to be given or expect to make the abundance. Even when they're employed, that attitude is there where we expect to get payment for doing nothing. We feel entitled. I already beat the streets for campaigning, so now I could have the job, the hospital, or I could have the job, the school warden, and I don't have to do the job. I could get paid because I don't work for the campaign. It's not a good thinking.
Everywhere, and it is we the people who allow it. We the people. You know the Bible say, "Thou shalt not steal." Thou shalt not steal. But when you go to work and you get that job because you're a staunch PUP or a UDP, then because you get that job because you're a staunch PUP or UDP, you go in at the office and you do whatever you want, or you come in whatever time you want, or you break the rules whenever you want. If you know some teachers could skip class or go to a certain, I've heard of these things happening because of favoritism. Because they're close to the era representative or they're close to somebody who have some type of big name and big title. That's stealing. That's stealing. If you would get paid if you go to work for 8 to 5, or for whatever time you get paid if you go to work, and you're slacking up because you have that privilege, if you're a teacher who you would get penalized if you miss class because you want to go to some kind of event or you want to go to the States or go to some kind of party, and you could tell your supervisor, hey, I come back, just mark me absent, blah, blah, blah. You're not getting in trouble. See, these are the type of thing where keep us not only divided, but where keep us broken, where keep us stagnant, and we stay behind, right? The topic today, folks, is active citizenship. We are at the very end of this show. This is Dangriga Unmuted. We unmute the truth. We demand change. I do it, my sister Ifa. Ifa, I pass the mic to you.
It's been a pleasure engaging in this discussion, and I hope that those of you who are tuned in or will tune in, that you take something from this conversation that would motivate you, inspire you, empower you to be active, to be involved in your own way, in your community. And it starts with you, it starts from your family, it starts from your space. If we want to tackle the corruption that we see being shown blatantly and with impunity, like there's no shame, no regard, no fear even, that our leaders are exhibiting in the way they engage in their corrupt behavior, what's our responsibility? We have to ask ourselves, how have I or am I contributing to this behavior, and what can I do to nip this in the bud? The corruption is pervasive among us. We are guilty of cutting corners and allowing people to not do their jobs or give us favors, special favors, when their duty is to give everybody favor and everybody proper service, but we are happy. So these are little things that we do that contribute to the corrupt environment that we are living in. And the extreme of it is what we see in what our political leaders are doing right in front of our faces, without any fear, without any shame at all. We can fix it, but we start by fixing ourselves. We start by being active, being responsible, and having integrity. And when you employ that in your own personal life, and then the relationships you engage in, your family, your co-workers, your friends, your neighbors, your community, it expands. That's how we will see the change we need in our country.
Absolutely. Friends, tonight was not about anti-PUP, anti-UDP, anti any minister, anti any individual with a title. Tonight is about encouraging you to follow the trails. Tonight is about encouraging you or inspiring you to say something when you see something wrong. Tonight is about all of us coming together, holding each other accountable. There are times when I become so passionate to call out certain individuals. It comes with a cost. I love my town. I love my people. We have a rich culture. Dangriga is rich. We could do a lot more. So as we close out, just reflect on the topic for tonight, active citizenship. We appreciate the comments. Keep commenting. We appreciate the shares. Keep sharing. That's part of active citizenship. Share it with your neighbors. Share it with your friends. We must all do our part. Now, as we come to a close, I just want to mention some of the issues that have been plaguing us here in the South. We have jetty. Keep your eye open about what's happening at jetty. There is the multi-purpose park in front of Sacred Heart Church and School. Keep your eye open. Know what's happening here in Dangriga. There is a BTL acquisition. There is the case with the ombudsman. Even though there are rules, there are laws, even though within the Ombudsman Act, you can't just while he's not entitled to have his contract renewed, you also have to have a reason. If the ombudsman has no kind of error, no kind of whatever that might tarnish his reputation, by right, by conscience, he should be appointed another term, so to speak. But because we have allowed our leaders, a small handful of people, we have given them the power, too much power. And we give them that power by making our silence very loud, very deafening. We need to stop that. We need to stop being complacent. Our King Cyril Uruwei, my sister
Ifasina Efunyemi.
Ifa, we thank you all for joining tonight. Again, this is Dangriga Unmuted. We unmute the truth. We demand change. Stay tuned every Wednesday at 8 p.m. weekly. Bandi Seremi, Biti Gunyo.